I got a text, and they said, Coach K wants to have you on his podcast. And I'm like, is this a joke? And did you send this text to the right person? This is Torey Lovullo. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no fucking way. I want to be famous for the right reasons, not famous for making bonehead moves for all the wrong reasons. I know, we talked about that. And you're such a supporter. I appreciate you.
It comes with the job. So.
Right. I know. I signed up for it.
You got a shout out in Buffalo too, right?
Did I?
About a week or so ago.
Coach Sean got me. Yeah, that was good.
Because of your wife.
That was good.
Right?
Yeah, I married into the Bills Mafia for sure. But I've gotten to be good friends with Sean McDermott, their head coach. And yeah, I guess when we got in or we beat the Brewers, I don't know when it was. Yeah. So.
She told me the whole story how you played a Bills game and all that stuff.
Crazy. You know, either I was in or she wouldn't have married me. Like, it would have been it. Okay, let's talk baseball.
All right, who wants the first baseball question for Torey? We'll start with Jack.
Hi, Torey. How's Tommy Pham's toe feeling, and will he be available to play right field for you today?
Yeah, he's feeling just fine. Well enough to play right field. So that's where we're starting this early morning, and I had a brief conversation with him, and he's a gamer. He said, whatever you need me to do, I'll be ready to go. So that's what it comes down to, right? It's selling out for the team, selling out for the bigger good, and that's who he is at his core. So yeah, I anticipate that he'll be our right fielder today.
Nick.
What did that mean to be able to go on Coach K's podcast?
Yeah, I was honored. I've been a big Coach K guy for 20 plus years. And I told him that part of his DNA is in our clubhouse for sure. One of his core beliefs, and I remember reading in his book, and that's the only connection I had to him, was reading stuff that he wrote or said, was that, yeah, I can put a player in a box and let him grow as big as that box. If I open up the lid of that box, he can become the most amazing player ever. So those are things that I talk about often inside of that culture. And for me to sit down and just listen to him and have him call me by my first name, I wish I could have told him what I was thinking at the time. I was trying to listen to the question that he was asking me, and I barely was able to, because I thought to myself 15 times, I cannot believe that I'm talking to Coach K right now. This just is not happening. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me that he was interested in what's happening inside of our world, inside of our culture. And he wants to know some of the strategies and some of the mindsets that I have, and that blows me away. I'll never get used to that. I'm just a dope from Los Angeles, California, and I don't feel like I deserve to be sitting in the same space as him. But I guess at the end of the day, I do, and that's an honor.
Barry.
What did you decide to do with your lineup today?
Yeah, I'm unable to tell you guys exactly what it is and what it looks like, but there'll be some adjustments into it. You'll see that.
When do you have to have it posted?
I think it's 3 hours before the game, and there's a strategy, right? And I'll apologize openly right now. A lot of times I'll get some messages from writers or some people that'll be covering our game, and they'll be like, "What's your lineup today?" I don't even respond to that text because I can't. I think by rule, I give the lineup to Jeff Bannister, who gets it out to the players, and then we turn it over to Casey, and they send it to Major League Baseball, and then for reasons that are way above what I understand, it goes out at one time for, I think, betting purposes. So I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it goes out at the same time every day, and you will see a change. It reflects change today.
Nick.
When it comes to handling your pitching staff today, how much do you allow yourself to worry about the next 2 days? Is it just figure out how to win today and worry about tomorrow? Yeah, I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. If we got to win this game today, that's it, plain and simple. And you know, everybody, you can't during the season. You could say, hey, we're going to be okay. We don't have time to be okay. Like, we got to do it right now. So yeah, the investment is going to be. It's going to be a full investment today, and everybody's ready to go from the first pitch on, and we'll get through tomorrow. We're guaranteed a game tomorrow. I know that.
but I can't worry about that right now. We're gonna go all in on today for sure.
Teo?
I know you can't discuss the actual lineup, but this is it sounds like the first time in the postseason that you're going to actually make some substantive changes other than flipping Cattell and Corbin. What made you feel like you needed to, shift things more dramatically than you had?
Because a little bit of what Nick was asking in the same vein, like we got to do it right now. It's got to happen, and players' feelings aside, and the players are great. Like you can't hurt players' feelings right now because there's one thing and it's one goal, it's one team, and they all get it and they understand. So I just had to do what I thought was going to help us be the best version of ourselves to score some runs and win a baseball game.
Over here on the left.
Hey, just curious, you had one playoff game here so far and an incredible crowd to close out the Dodgers. Curious what your expectations are for today's atmosphere.
I think it should be very close to the same. I don't know if it's a sellout or not. I just know there's going to be a lot of D-back fans here, and we're very appreciative of them coming out and supporting us. When you talk about the Dodgers coming in, they bring 10, 15,000 fans every single time we play them. So I've been hearing that there's going to be a lot of Philly fans. I can't imagine it's going to be more than the Dodger fans. I'll be anxious to see what it looks like. But I know our group's going to be out there today and representing the best way they know how. It's a tough time, right? It's 2 o'clock during the week. Kids are in school. People are working. It's a little bit of a challenge. But I'm excited to think that we're going to have some fans out here and a lot of fan support.
Nick and then JP.
I think you said yesterday Gallen is a no-go on short rest. Is the same true of Merrill? And is there a scenario where either of them could give you an inning if you need it in relief?
I would say as of right now, everything's going to stay on turn. But once we get to their spots and hopefully beyond, anything will be possible. I think if it came down to it and somebody had a pen day and they wanted to go out and help us win a baseball game or win an inning, I would certainly be open to that conversation. But as of right now, we're going to just stay right on turn with them for 5 and 6.
We'll do JP back right.
Morning, Torey. Thanks. With Brandon, what are the ways in which you've seen his repertoire evolve, most notably since the first time you saw him pitch?
Yeah, it was a fastball heavy attack. He could throw it anywhere he wanted, and I think the first time he came up, he got hit around a little bit. He was throwing the fastball where he wanted, or maybe there was a half inch or an inch miss, and it was getting squared up. So we can continue to work with him, and we would send him down to get some work with his secondary stuff, maybe changing angles. I know Brent Strom moved him to the total other side of the rubber the last time that he went down, and he's come back and he's been really good ever since. So the way he's developed is the fastball is aggressive with good carry. He can go on both sides and top bar. He's now throwing the secondary stuff that we challenged him to throw. He's sequencing his pitches. The common denominator was always the mound presence and the ability to compete. He never would back down from any challenge, and you couldn't tell whether you look by looking at him whether he's having a good day or a bad day, and I really like that.
Any last ones for Torey? All right, thanks,
guys.
Torey. We'll
Yep,
see you post game.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
All right. No bum questions, okay? Please, thank you.
That was my first question.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
All right, we'll get started with Brent Strom, who's got the first question for Brent.
Okay, good.
We'll start with Jack down here on the right.
Paul Sewell was heard on a podcast talking about controlling the space between the inside, black and the chalk of the batter's box to make the Phillies hitters move their feet. Being able to pitch inside a little more to make them a little less comfortable, has that been an emphasis over the last couple of days to discuss with the pitchers?
Try about 2 years. That's been emphasis for 2 years, okay? So it's obviously it is a factor in opening up the outer part of the plate. It's not a thing that's relatively new to baseball, I don't think. It's just pitchers have to have the will to do it, and the you know, whatever you want to call it, to do so. It's a pitch that is part of our repertoire, and it's just a question of us doing it. You saw some of the swings that, I mean, Turner threw 2 bats into the seats on fastballs up and in. He had no chance. But, you know, obviously you need to get ahead and count and get strikes to be able to do so, because you're relying on a swing some of the time. So, you know, it's a fine line there, but it definitely is part of our plan.
Teo on the left in the middle.
Last game in his last start against the Dodgers, Brandon obviously did a really good job of keeping them off balance, used that changeup a lot. What does he need to do today to have similar results against the Phillies?
Well, you know, the changeup has obviously been a work in progress for Brandon. He found it in the Dodger game. That's going to be a key, obviously, to both lefties and righties. It plays to both. But again, he's going to have to do some work to, you know, these are not uneducated hitters. They study what our tendencies and things like that. So what we need to do is be a little bit unpredictable in our times that we use the changeup and when we use our fastball or the breaking ball below the zone. There's multiple areas to go to. It's just a question of them not getting into what I call when hitters can kind of centralize and I don't think hitters really hit the ball as it's thrown. I think they anticipate things. I think they sense where things are going, and if they can eliminate pitches, then that makes them that much better.
Barry.
Hey, Stromby, earlier in the season we talked about how you were working with Pfaadt to spot pitches in the zone. You had game plans for him, and then he just couldn't actually execute it. Has he gotten better at that as time has gone on, and is that why he's better now?
Yeah, I think anytime you know, he's had been kind of a roller coaster kind of season. You know, it's been good and then bad and then good then bad. Obviously, I hope he builds off his last game against a really strong Dodger team. He pitched very well for us, and I think it was 4 1/3 or 4 2/3 and 40-something pitches. Obviously, his ability to one of his greatest strengths is his strike throwing ability, and I've always believed that that if you can throw strikes, then you can intentionally throw balls. And the ultimate is to be able to throw pitches that are balls that people swing at. That would be the ultimate pitching program, you know, swing at the pit. I mean, I had, like I told you before, when Keuchel won the Cy Young Award for me in Houston, he threw 48% strikes all season long and won the Cy Young Award. But they were just close enough, what we call pressure pitches. They're just close enough where the hitter has to make a decision whether that's going to be called or not. And when you do that, you induce more soft contact, and it just usually benefits the pitcher.
In your vast experience, is there a comparative pitcher to Pfaadt that you use?
I don't know. I think possibly when we got Charlie Morton over from the club, he was a sinker slider guy. We took away the 2-seam fastball, started to use the 4-seamer a little bit more up in the zone, as we did with Cole and those kind of people, and I think that's maybe the comparison I can make. He may not have the devastating breaking ball that Charlie had or has, but it's definitely playable. You know, especially the sweeper type thing, and then the changeup down under. I think his changeup's a little better than Charlie's, but Charlie's also throwing 97, 98 late in his career, so he found some youth over in Houston.
JP, back right.
Morning, Brent. Thanks for your time. Curious about moving Brandon on the rubber a little bit. What did you see in him that led you to believe that was going to be a good change, and how have you seen that impact his stuff?
I've addressed this before. My reasoning for doing it, from his arm slot and the way his ball moves, what I was trying to do was to create the illusion of the ball riding in on right-handed hitters that would look like a strike as it enters home plate, and then play that with the breaking ball that would then separate as it gets to about halfway point, and then you have the changeup down under. When he was throwing from the far third base side of the rubber, the angle was such that he had to pull balls, and it didn't really match up with his other pitches. And so I just thought, and he had done it before in his career. He moved on his own at some point in time in his minor league career, and obviously had success. I just thought that this, because as we know, I've talked at length about here, is that a 90 mile an hour fastball that is coming into a right-handed hitter is a lot faster to the hitter than a 90 mile an hour fastball that's down and away. They're two separate pitches, completely separate. The gun may say 90, but to the hitter, there's a huge difference in the two. So what we're trying to do is it's not scientific, is speed people up, slow them down, speed people up, slow them down. That's the whole essence. You know, everybody talks about velocity and everything, but if you looked at like the Wheeler game, if you watch Wheeler, he threw that two-seamer in on right-handed hitters really hard, and it comes out at 95, but it actually plays at 99 to 100, and then you throw the sweeper off of that, which is a huge discrepancy. I like it when hitters think they can cover everything in the strike zone. When they think they can cover everything, then it's to our advantage. Where we run into problems is when these veteran hitters, these good hitters, kind of sense that they have you locked in a box, and that they'll take that strike zone and kind of shrink it into a certain area, and then that's where they do the damage. And they've done some damage against us, partly because we've fallen behind in counts. But we have a plan going into today that I hopefully will yield good results for us.
And one quick follow-up, just overall, when the season began, there was a lot of thought about how the game would change with the different rules and what that would mean for pitchers. How has the reality that you have observed over the last 7 months been different from what you thought it was going to be in terms of the way that pitchers would adjust?
Well, everybody thought that the pitchers, especially the veteran pitchers, would fatigue and not have time between pitches and things like that. I have not seen that with our guys. If anything, the only thing that we've had an issue with at times is when there may be a discrepancy from what Moreno's calling and the pitcher's calling, and then they're trying to get on the same page and the clock winds down, and then you're forced into, with the 4 seconds to go, heck, I got to throw this pitch. That's been the only issue. We've cleaned that up quite a bit. But for the most part, they've adjusted quite well, and there hasn't been nobody's come off the field saying I'm gassed, too much time between pitches, things like that. There's some of these pitchers, there have been some in the past that have used almost a half a minute between games, between pitches, and those guys are gone. They're not here anymore.
Teo?
When you're facing a team like the Phillies that has so many good fastball hitters, is it possible to shy away from that pitch completely, or do you still have to, use a four-seam fastball a little bit? Even
okay, as I stated earlier, there are fastballs, and then there are fastballs. Okay, you have to use they're different pitches, so the fastball doesn't disappear because these guys are good fastball hitters. The location of the pitch will be the important thing. Okay. And the mix and match of that kind of thing. We obviously, if I had Lance McCullers and we could throw 24 straight curveballs to a certain guy, then that's going to be fine. But that's an abnormal type of thing that happened years ago. So our fastball is going to play as long as we understand, when and how to use it and where to use it.
Any last ones for Brent? I'll take one last one down here on the right.
Torey said that Zach and Merrill would not go on short rests in this series. I guess what has been your experience with pitchers going short rests in playoff games, and what are the pros and cons of that?
Well, if I called Sandy Koufax, he would say 3 days are too long. Okay, he went on 2 days rest and won the 7th game of the '65 World Series. So, but those days are gone also. We have, we get, if we can win today and then we roll tomorrow, we'll play tomorrow and see what it brings. I think it would be asking too much at this point in time to ask Zach to come back after 80-plus pitches, and then Merrill obviously would have regular rest with the, off day if we're fortunate to get back to Philadelphia. So, we're just gonna, we're not looking too far ahead. I'm looking at 2 o'clock today and see what by 5 o'clock, see where we're at. Okay.
All right, thanks, Brent. Appreciate you coming in.
Okay. No questions from you today. Huh?
All right. Too.
Huh?